Welcome back to Wives on the Island. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jessica, and today we're going to talk about some life updates. April being C-section Awareness Month, and our top two pop culture stories.
So, what have you been up to, Jess?
Nothing. I just came back from Connecticut. I went to my cousin's wedding, which was a lot of fun. The music was great. It's a lesbian wedding. I've never been to one before, so it was a lot of fun. Um, I don't know why I wouldn't know what to expect, but I didn't know what to expect. But it was traditional. You know what I mean? They called themselves the Gride and Bride and Gride and Bride. Yeah. So
Okay.
the Gride wore a suit. She was
Oh,
but she's super sweet. She's my cousin. She was my cousin's fiance that she married, and it was my first time meeting her. And she's not a hugger, so I'm a hugger. And
yeah.
and my cousin's like, she's not a hugger, so don't hug her. And I was like, okay. So like when I met her, I shook her hand. And I was like, it's nice to meet you. I was like, she told me you weren't a hugger. Her whole wife looked at me and goes, thank you so much for shaking my hand. It's been a long day. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, because everybody just kept coming up and hugging her. And I was like, poor thing. I'm a hugger, so it doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. And then as I left, she gave me a hug because I put my hand out. Like, and she was like, I'll hug you. And I think the drinks had kicked in by then. So
At least she reciprocated. You did her a favor by not giving the hug. Then she reciprocated by giving you the hug at the end.
definitely, it was really
Good.
good.
So
Yeah,
I know
I
you took
was,
kind of like a shady airline. How was that? It was all good with the
it
airline.
wasn't, it wasn't shady. It was good. I was delayed coming back, but that was more for the storms that were in Atlanta and,
Mm.
because it was rainy. I mean, for it being a small airline, I got there, I think 15 minutes early. It was perfectly fine. I sat next to a baby, which I thought it's gonna be rough, She cried for like the first 10 minutes and then fell asleep. She's a cutie. She kept like touching my arm and then she threw a Cheerio bag at me and the dad was like, I am so sorry. I was like, it's okay. We have kids. We know. We don't,
Yeah.
there's no shaming for parents. But then on the way
What was
back,
the name of the airline?
a, a Velo.
Othello.
Yeah, and so they fly directly into New Haven, and that's where I went. Now, New Haven was that was an experience because the airport it's three gates, so that's how small it
Okay.
is. Literally,
Yeah.
like I was through TSA in like 5 minutes. So our plane was delayed twice, and you know me, I hate flying, and I'm scared to fly. And we got an email for the second delay. And luckily, the people had told us what happened. But I got an email saying we have a mechanic issue so we're going to be a little late. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to die on this flight because I
Oh
had
my
a
god.
mechanic issue. But it wasn't. It was just because they were delayed getting the other flights out because of the storm.
Gotcha.
And so it was like the longer that we kept going, I was like, we're going to hit the storm.
Mhm.
They're not going to take us all the way. I'm going to have to stop in North Carolina, and then I'm gonna have to drive in. And so I did not have to do any of that. We got into Atlanta. Yeah.
That's good.
Like literally, I got picked up the minute we pulled out of the parking garage. It was just coming down in buckets. I was like, well, thank God that I'm in the car and not in the plane.
Yeah.
So, how was your weekend?
So we went to Myrtle Beach, well, like North Myrtle Beach. My husband's grandparents have a house there. They do about every other month there or so, when they can. But it was really nice. I honestly think this was probably our best trip going there because the kids are a little older. My daughter can walk. Last time, about a year ago, when we were there for Easter, she wasn't able to walk. So it was like, what do we do with them? We're inside, or we got to like put them in a stroller if we want to go outside. But now they were able to walk. We did Broadway on the beach. We did the Ripley's Aquarium. What else? And then we just did a beach morning Sunday. And it was beautiful weather. I ran 2 miles on Saturday and Sunday. Horrible time, but I'll just count it as a win. It was like about closer to 14 minutes. I think the second day was 14 minutes. And I've noticed like my hip hurts since I was like limping due to the sea urchin injury, but whatever. I did the 2 miles and I'll count that as a win. But other than that, I mean, the first day that we got there, my daughter, she has a bad temper. She didn't wanna get out of the bathtub, and then we were like, "Come on." She's screaming, like, screaming so hard, and my husband goes to lay her down to put her diaper on, and she starts to choke on her spit and throws up. And I swear it wouldn't be like a family vacation for us if one of our kids didn't throw up on a trip, so I mean, luckily, it was just because she choked and not like she was sick or anything, and she was completely fine, like, the rest of the weekend. But other than that, it was really nice to see my husband's grandparents. Not a lot of kids have their great-grandparents, so we really try to make an effort to go there, and, I lived with them for a little bit too, because in New Jersey, they have, like, an apartment downstairs in their house, and that's where
Mhm.
my husband and I lived together for 2 years. I mean, he lived there before me, but I lived there for about 2 years before we moved here.
Well, that's good. That's great. I mean, I love going to visit family. I kind of wish my kids had their great grandparents, but
Yeah, my kids are missing 1 set, my husband's mom's parents, and then my mom's mom, and she only passed 3 weeks before my son was born, but other than that, my grandparents on my dad's side are alive, and then, obviously, my husband's grandparents on his dad's side are alive, and then I have one on my mom's side, my grandpa, and then my stepmom has been my stepmom since I was 5 years old, so we're very close with her parents as well, and they're both still alive. Both of them have a good amount of great-grandparents, and we're very lucky, and all of their, grandparents except my father-in-law who passed literally a month before I got pregnant with Austin, not even actually, so they're very blessed in the grandparent department.
they are. Yeah. My kids have their grandparents, but no. Oh, they have one great grandparent. I just remember.
No.
Yeah, my husband's grandma is still alive. They used to see her all the time when we lived in Jersey, but now we don't see her as much. But yep, I love one. I thought there was none, but I was just thinking of my side of the family.
Isn't that how it always goes?
Yeah, it's all about me.
But it is.
I think it's great that they still have that, and especially, you guys get to go to Myrtle Beach. I love Myrtle Beach.
Really?
I do. I like it because it's not. I don't think it's like overcrowded. You know what I mean? Like when you go to like the beaches in Florida, I feel like it's always overcrowded. But I feel like Myrtle Beach and Hilton Head, you don't have those like massive crowds.
Yeah, I definitely wanna go to Hilton Head. Myrtle Beach does get pretty crowded. Luckily, we were there because this week is spring break. We were there I feel like when everybody was starting to travel in, so we weren't getting those crowds. If you probably went there, like, today or this whole week, it would be really crowded, but thankfully, we, like, missed that, and we're back already.
Hilton Head is different because Hilton Head is it's more family oriented because I know we went when the kids were younger and everything was closed at like 7. And I was like, what is
Mhm.
this? Because we went with my husband's cousins. And so I thought once the kids went to bed, we might be able to like go out and just do something just as like, as adults. And no, because everything was closed at like 7.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah. So Hilton Head is more like family, I guess, oriented. So it's not a party town.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, like, kid-friendly with all the beaches and attractions. Like,
Did you guys go to Barefoot Landing when you guys were there?
we did not, because we always go there, and we never do Broadway on the beach, so I decided to switch it up.
I don't think I've ever been there. We always did Barefoot Landing.
It's kind of like the same thing, but they have, like, different restaurants but all, like, the stores are all the same.
So, as I mentioned earlier, this month is C-section Awareness Month. So I know both of us had C-sections. What do you think about people who say that C-sections aren't really giving birth? It's the easy way out.
It is definitely not the easy way out. I mean, it's so hard to compare to a vaginal birth because I've never had a vaginal birth. You're going through like serious abdominal surgery. I've never had a vaginal birth, but I do have friends that have had it, and the recovery seems just so much easier. I actually have had 3 friends give birth in the past 2 weeks, and 2 of those were C-sections. One was an emergency C-section, which is obviously like the worst kind of C-section to have. The other one was scheduled. Was your first C-section emergency? Like, why did you have to have
Yeah, mine
C-sections?
mine was my first one was a it was an emergency because when they put in my epidural, her heart rate dropped. And they were like, "We gotta get her out now." And at first I was like, okay. I think at the beginning I always wanted a C-section because I was like, I know women have been doing it for years, but the fact that it opened like freaked me out. Like I was scared that it wouldn't go back to the way that it was supposed to go back. And I was like, can I just have a C-section? You know? And my doctor was like, no. And I said, but I was like, yeah, but I can. I was like, you can do it. And he was like, I can do it, but I, um, I'm not going to. And I was like, but, and this is how long ago it was. I was like, Britney Spears had a C-section her first pregnancy. And he was like, to be honest with you, Jessica, you don't have Britney Spears money. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was kind of like hell bent that I was going to push. And when they said her heart rate dropped, I think it freaked me out because I didn't realize until they were talking me through like what a C-section was. I didn't realize like they cut through 7 layers. They like put your insides on top of your stomach to get the baby out. Um, I think like people don't realize like how much more danger you're putting yourself through. I don't want to say that it's easier than giving birth because I know people rip, people, you know what I mean, have to get stitches. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into that. And even though they're out of the hospital faster than us, I don't know that the recovery is better, but I feel like when people say, oh, well, you didn't really give birth. And I'm like, but I was cut open and, my stomach was hanging out on top of my stomach for a little while. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely considered birth to me because either way you had a baby, right? So I feel like either way it came out of you, one way or another, or anything like that. And I had a C-section. I still experienced labor. I was in labor for 50 hours before I had a C-section, and I was like, can we talk about a C-section here? We're going on, you know, hour 49. What are we gonna do? Can we talk about a C-section? And my doctor's like, yeah, if that's what you want to do. Like, just let us know and we'll get the anesthesiologist. We'll need about 40 minutes. And I was like, okay, I'll let you know. And then I had a contraction. As soon as the doctor walked out, I looked at my husband and I was like, I'm gonna need a C-section. I can't do this anymore. Thank God I did because he was 10 pounds on the dot, 22 inches. And my doctor was like, "Good call with the C-section. You are a doctor. Shouldn't you have suggested it?" But at the time, I was still 25, or had just turned 26 that year, but I was still under my dad's insurance, and he had state insurance, and it was really good insurance. Like, I didn't pay a dime for me to have my son. So I think they knew that going into it, so they didn't really push, like, me out of there because they knew they were gonna get paid for it. And with my daughter, it was a scheduled C-section, which I will say that recovery was very nice. I had a great recovery. I didn't have to labor, the catheter wasn't in as long, you didn't have to be on the bed for a day or 2 days in my case. So I really liked the scheduled C-section, and considering that I had a toddler at home, it was a lot easier knowing that I'm gonna go in this day and have the baby, and this is when I should be out of the hospital. Was your second scheduled?
yeah, both. So my second and my third were scheduled. My second one, I tried my hardest to have her on June 26th, so that she could have Derek Jeter's birthday. It didn't work out. Um, but I tried. And then for my youngest daughter, I wanted to have hers on May 5th because I wanted her to be a Cinco de Mayo birthday. And the hospital that I went, I think that was a Wednesday, the year she was born, and they didn't do C-sections on Wednesdays. They were like, we do them on Thursdays. And I was like, but Thursday's the 6th. And they're like, that's the closest you're going to get unless you go into real labor. And I said, okay. So I did it. She got the 6th. But yeah, but it was, like you said, it is nice knowing that you're going in and like You're going to be there for this many days, and this is what the recovery. I feel like my third C-section was the easiest one. Once though, that my legs were able to work again, I was able to walk. Like I walked down the hospital corridor a couple of times and stuff like that. So to me, it was just so much easier.
Yeah, I was able to walk a lot quicker with my daughter after her C-section too, because with my son, I had the catheter in for so long and I had a really hard time like peeing the first time and they were like, "You gotta get like an ultrasound of your kidneys," because I tried like 4 times and I couldn't go. But then with my daughter, the first time I tried to pee, it came out and I was like, "Oh my God." Like, I was so proud of myself. I was like, "I peed, like, first try." I was so happy. But I also wanted my daughter to be a 7-2 baby just because I didn't want her close to well, I mean, she's gonna be close to 4th of July, but I didn't want her the day before, and my son is a second a different month, and I wanted her to be a second too, but then they were like, "We don't do C-sections on Sunday," so she's, July 3rd.
Yeah. That's so mean. It's like if you're gonna let me schedule, let me pick my day. Like
I know.
as long as we're 40 weeks, it should be fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wasn't f a
Yeah,
full
was
40
I? Now
weeks.
that I think about it, it's like
Yeah.
36.
For my son, I was oh my god, 36. I was 39 in, like, 2 days, with my daughter, and then my son was 40 weeks and 6 days with him, but my friend actually just had her scheduled C-section, and they scheduled her for her husband's birthday, and he didn't love that, and I know some people don't like to share birthdays. My son was actually his due date was my husband's birthday, and my
Mhm.
husband just had, like, the worst memory ever. He was like, "Oh, it would be so easy if we just had the same birthday." So he was hoping that it would be his birthday. But that's out of, like, sheer laziness or, just not having a good memory.
I wouldn't mind sharing a birthday. I mean, I don't think it would bother me in any way, shape, or form. I think the one downside would be that if I had a baby on my husband's birthday, I'd have two Leos in the house, and I don't know how I could do with that. I think that that would be the only thing. I'm like, no, thank you.
So I will say I'm a Cancer and so is my daughter, and that's a rough pairing for us. My husband and son are both Virgos, and they are just easygoing, go with the flow, not confrontational, very analytical. And they're both like, even my son at 4.5 years old, he shows those Virgo qualities so much. Actually, today I had to go pick up a Sam's Club order and I had to bring both the kids, and my daughter is like kicking me as I'm picking her up to get her in the car. And I was like, ow. And my son goes, "What happened?" I was like, "She's kicking me." And he goes, "I'm sorry, mommy, you have such a bad kid."
Oh, God.
I was like, she just doesn't want to go in the car. She's not bad. She's just, telling me she doesn't want to go in the car. She can't talk right now. But speaking of my daughter, with her C-section, it was so nice because I don't remember my son's birth because I was like so hopped up on the morphine and all this medication. And then with my daughter, it was just a spinal tap. And really, that's, the normal. And I felt like I was so much more alert for her birth, like, I knew what was going on, I remember what she looked like right away, I remember we got, a picture when she came out, and I don't have any of that with my son because, like, I was just having the epidural shakes and then with the morphine on top of it, because I was in labor for 50 hours, my son was, like, in my pelvis for so long that he was so purple, and the nurses weren't sure if he was breathing, so when they took him out, they were like, "He's not breathing," and my husband is like, "Our son's not breathing." My wife is, like, shaking uncontrollably, and then she goes still. I don't know if she's, like, dying. It was such a scary experience too from his point of view, and then with the scheduled, it was a lot easier, like, "Okay, everybody's safe here," you know?
Right.
But I will say I wasn't expecting to have a C-section with my son, so but I feel like I knew I was going to. I feel like my body wasn't doing anything, and it wasn't. But then with my daughter, they go over all of the issues that could possibly come about with a C-section. I was like, "Oh my god, that's pretty serious." Like, I didn't know, like, all of the infections are a lot, like, easier to have because 'cause all your insides are getting opened. So
Yeah,
it's a there's a lot more risk in a C-section as well.
it is. My husband didn't tell me this until like after the recovery because like I was in fear the whole time. When the guy came to do my epidural, I thought, oh God, I'm gonna be paralyzed. Like it scared me having the epidural. He told me that because her heart rate dropped, they rushed me in and they made him wear like go get the scrubs on and stuff. And he said at that point they asked him, it's between your baby and your wife, who do you save? And he was like, please save my wife. I can make another baby, but please save my wife. And I think that's like another part that like hits you. Like, I mean, you can definitely die natural birth. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are always complications, but you don't realize like how serious that is. Like when the baby's in distress, I wasn't in distress, but I was a little bit because with my first one I had preeclampsia. So
Mhm.
that was another reason why I think they thought her heart rate drop was because my blood pressure was high. I was on
Mm.
Pitocin and all of the whatever stuff they give you for all of that. And I just wanted to eat. I was like, when she comes out, can I eat? They were like, yeah, because I was starving. Like when they told me that to meet them at the hospital, that I was like, don't eat anything. And I was like, okay. And I had nested and I'd made a turkey. I don't know why I made a turkey in March. As I was like putting the turkey up, I was like taking the skin and some meat off. I was like, I'm not gonna not eat. God knows how long I'm gonna be in the hospital, even though they told me not to eat. I was like, no, we'll snack won't hurt. Yeah. So,
Definitely could.
I don't follow the rules all the time. So
My heart goes out there to everybody who does have a C-section, especially ones that don't want it, because not everybody, that's not their birth plan. Personally, I didn't really have a birth plan going into either of my deliveries. I just wanted a happy, healthy baby at the end of the day. I know that a lot of people try for VBACs. Like my sister-in-law, she had a C-section because my niece was breech.
hmm
And then with my nephew, she really tried for a VBAC, and then his heart rate ended up dipping, and they had to do an emergency C-section. So she really wanted that experience. So I do feel bad for anybody who gets it and wants that experience of a non C-section delivery.
I have a friend who kind of went through like what you went through, and she was on oxygen. They kept her on like her left side so that she could labor right. She has a picture of herself and she said, I made him put it by his nightstand. It's her with the tubes up her nose for the accident. She goes, he needs to know what I had to go through to get him here. I
Oh
was
my
like,
god,
that's great.
the ultimate guilt trip. I actually found this little insert about International C-Section Awareness Month. I'll read it real quick. It says International C-Section Awareness Month is an annual observation that aims to increase awareness about the rising rates of C-section deliveries and the factors that contribute to them. While C-sections can be life-saving in certain situations, unnecessary C-sections can pose a risk to both mothers and babies. This month emphasizes the importance of evidence-based care, informed consent, and empowering women to make the best decision for their health and their babies. The observance also supports those who've had C-sections and seek to reduce the stigma and misconceptions surrounding this type of birth.
I'm happy that we could bring awareness to it. I think that that's important. We bring these babies into the world and it's dangerous. And, I just pray for everybody that they have happy, healthy pregnancies and happy, healthy deliveries, even though sometimes it's not happy, but, at the end of the day, you get your baby. So
Absolutely. What a great way to end that. You get your baby.
now on to our pop culture stories. I have been watching Love on the Spectrum. It's my absolute favorite TV show in the whole wide world.
I know what is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix, yeah, and it's about people who have autism and and they're finding love. And like sometimes it breaks my heart just because, like there are some people who aren't finding love. I think the thing that I like about it is to me it's so positive. Like these people have some kind of mental deficiency because sometimes it's not autism, but they're neurodivergent. And they are just so positive. and they know what they want and they have like healthy boundaries and they're upfront with each other. Like, I know that part of that is the autism, just like the no filter, because, like sometimes it's just what's on their mind, they say. But if dating could be like that, it would be so easy for so many people. It's like they'll be like, "You like nature?" And the other person's like, "No." And they were speed dating, and this one guy like clicks his pen, and in front of her, he writes no because he was speed dating, and then he put not big on nature.
Oh my
While
gosh.
she was sitting there. And the girl just sat there and watched him do it, and it was just like, I just look at them and just their, I don't know if it's innocence or, I mean, I know it's innocence, but I just feel like they're so much better than some of us. You know what I mean? Like they don't put up with people's crap. I just love it. It's my favorite thing. I'm on season 2 right now, and I know that there's 3 seasons, and it's just great.
I don't watch it, but did you see the clip of the one guy meeting Jack Black
Yes.
on the Kelly Clarkson show? Oh my God, so cute.
It
And
didn't make you want to cry.
it,
And Jack Black was so patient with him. Like,
so great.
I feel like that could be overwhelming for some people, because Tanner speaks very close to like you. But he's so happy and he's so excited. He's my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. Like I follow him on TikTok and everybody's like, anybody hurts Tanner, we ride at dawn. And I'm like, yes, because how dare you? You cannot hurt Tanner. It's just such a sweet thing. And I think the thing that I love the most about it is their parents. The parents on this show are so patient and understanding and loving. I just take my hats off to them because I know it's hard. It's got to be hard raising a child, that has any kind of mental deficiency or anything like that. And it's got to be hard. But the love that they have and just the comfort that their children have to talk to them. I just love seeing it. It's like the greatest thing in the whole world. It's just makes me happy. And I'm like, I need that. So
Yeah, I definitely have to watch it because I've heard so many good things about it. But like I said, with the Kelly Clarkson clip, I did see that. And I thought Jack Black and Kelly Clarkson did a great job interviewing him and just conversating with him. And I remember I saw this quote like a while ago. It was probably during like Autism Awareness Month that it was stop trying to teach autistic children how to live in a world with other children. Instead, teach the other children how to live in a world with children who have autism. And I thought that's so smart and so true to live by.
it is. It is. My girls were watching it just half an hour ago. They're like, and my oldest daughter goes, I wish dating was that easy for, for us. And I was like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that. And she was like, yeah, she goes, but they're just such good people. And I was like, yeah, but I have to say, I've always tried to teach my children. Like, I know that there's different kinds of neurodiversity and like, because my youngest daughter has ADHD and her brain works very different than some other people's, but I try to bring them up to not treat anybody differently just because they might be different. You know what I mean? They might seem different to them. We don't do that. So,
Mhm. Absolutely. I love that story. I'm definitely going to watch it.
and then we could chit chat about it. It's so great.
Yes. Yeah, we could do like a little recap. I mean, there's 3 seasons, so maybe the third season we could recap.
Yeah. So, what is your pop culture story?
So my story is kind of going back to something that happened last year. So there's this hockey player named Johnny Gaudreau. He was on the Calgary Flames, is like where I know him from, but I think he ended up playing for the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're a big hockey house here. He actually was in New Jersey, and on August 29th, him and his brother were struck and killed by a drunk driver while they were biking in Oldman's Township, New Jersey. And it was the day before, if I'm not mistaken, his sister's wedding. And his wife at the time was 3 months pregnant, 4 months pregnant. So my story is that she actually had her baby on April 1st. So they have 2 boys. Previously, they had another baby boy, Carter Michael Gaudreau, same middle name as his dad, is what this article says. And the wife posted an Instagram caption and just said, John, thank you for giving me our beautiful family. We love and we miss you. When I heard that, story, obviously so sad, and I could not even imagine what this wife and mother felt like carrying this child, knowing that when this baby is born, their father is not here.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was I actually heard about that, like you said, when it happened last year. Both of them, because it was him and his brother who passed away, and they both played for a hockey team, right? Yeah,
yeah.
that was sad. And I actually did see, I think it came up on my Instagram, her like welcoming the baby.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, that's so sad. And like you kind of just have to do everything by yourself with two other children. You know what I mean? Like it's rough.
Yes. So congratulations, Meredith Gaudreau. That's his wife because, now she has her third child 7 months after her husband's death. At least there is something positive that this family can celebrate after the death of him and his brothers. So it was just kind of nice to see this come up today and kind of leave it on a nicer note, a more positive, like new life.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. What are you doing next weekend?
What do I have? So we are actually going to Monster Jam on Saturday. My
You're going to where?
son does Monster Jam.
Oh,
My son is huge into monster trucks, and my it's not like it's a surprise because he doesn't know it's this weekend, but my brother and his girlfriend actually bought him these tickets for Christmas. So he knows, but he probably just forgot. So we're gonna do that. We're not like telling him or anything. We're just gonna like go.
oh, that'll be fun. We are taking the girls to Savannah, so I'll have a lot to talk about next week. We're super excited about that, and just for the end of spring break, nothing big, just 3 days.
Yeah, it's kinda
Um,
nice that you're going away though for spring break because the weather is not it this week right now, so it's kinda nice that you're going away.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not really. I want to say while we're there in Savannah, I think the high is 70, and that's one day. And it's not bad because I think the rest is like in the 60s, like the high 60s. And to me, that's not bad. I've been there in the summer and it's like brutally hot. So I'm okay with that. And we got a hotel near Forsyth Park so that we could run because, even on vacation, okay, we got to get our run before it. So I'll let you know how I do.
You could do it. Alright, and that's our episode. Stay tuned for the next one.
Bye.